All right. So, from what I understand, you're trying to draw straight lines from this point to this point in one go. Notice that this line isn't perfectly straight. If we zoom in, you can see that little curve happening there. Um, don't worry about that in general. Don't worry about that little curve, one. And two, don't worry about trying to get it in one go. And notice how this one is straighter. With practice, you will get it. Just draw 2 points, and that's an exercise right there. Just draw the line. Notice that I was curving up, so I ensure that I curve my pencil in the other direction to counteract that action. But more than that, it's unnecessary. You can just take little lines at a time like that and build it up. Now, when I zoom in, this is what my lines look like. That's not pretty, but from far, it's a straight line, and that's all we need. So there's no need to think of it as one single continuous line. There's never a reason for that. Um, Even if you mess up, just go back and darken the parts that work, and then you can erase the parts that don't. And that's good enough. I mean, you don't even have to erase it. You can be messy. But the point of these exercises is to get the shape. It doesn't matter how messy the lines are. I can even go, okay, whoops, something like that. And that messed up line right there does not destroy the drawing. It doesn't make for a bad drawing. Look at some of your favorite sketches by your favorite artists. They're messy, and that's okay. What matters is that the final drawing is clear, not clean, but clear. And that's what we want to stress here at this stage in our education. So let's say you have to draw a perfectly vertical line. Um, you were saying, so one thing I'm doing is I'm just making sure that the distance between this point and this is the same as the distance between here and here. Well, now when drawing this again, how do I know how long this is supposed to be? Like, it might be just a little bit higher and it might be a little bit lower, is what you're saying, that the length is not perfectly correct. And in order to see that, you need to draw a perfectly horizontal line through here and a horizontal line through here. And that's okay. That's good. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter if it goes a little bit longer because that doesn't count. What you do is you just intersect it. And where they intersect, darken the points. And that says that's where the line starts and stops. And that's it. That is it. Let's say you are drawing, you're copying this square. How do I know? Let's say I get the height right because this line right here is pretty easy to redraw. Vertical and the same height. But how do I know how long this is supposed to be? This is where the angles come in. This is where the angles of the lines come in. And so what you want to do is holding your pencil or eyeballing it or just drawing on top of the original. Get that angle right there. That's triangulation. You're turning it into a triangle. And where these 2 points intersect, that's going to tell you it's going to give you the width of this line from here to here. So what I'm going to do is just copy that angle, make it as accurate as I can possibly do by eyeball. I can also use my pencil as I did in the triangulation video. And this tells me that this square is right about there. And I can try it again right here. I can use this as a double check. Hold my pencil up against that line and move it over. And yeah, that works. So notice how different these squares are if we were to just look at them by line alone. These lines right here are fairly skinny. These lines are pretty rough and scribbly and thick, but they're the same square because they have the same dimensions. And that's all we need to get. And to figure out the perfect length of something, we use triangulation. We use angular lines to figure out the points of intersection. It doesn't matter if it goes a little bit longer than it needs to, as long as it doesn't go shorter. So if I'm trying to draw this line, I don't want to go too short. It's better to go too long and erase than it is to go too short and add. So I've got that. I've got that. Now let's say I want to draw this rectangle right here. So I get myself a nice angular line. Figure out the height right there. Get a nice vertical line there. Horizontal line there. Now what I'm going to do is draw this line right here, the angular line, and I'm going to put it right there. So I'm going to hold up my pencil with locked elbows. That way the distance is always consistent. And I make a note, I move my arm over, and holding the pencil at the angle, at the original angle, I make a note of where it intersects on the top horizontal line. And that's right about there, somewhere right there. So now what I've got to do is capture this angle. I double check before drawing the second vertical. Yeah, and that's pretty good. Right there. Now I have that same rectangle. It's about the points of intersection. It's not about length. You can use the diagonal lines and angular lines to figure out length. What matters is getting it horizontal or vertical and doing so in a way that's efficient to you. You're going to waste a lot more time erasing and trying to get it right at that first try than you are if you just drew those 2 points horizontal and built up the line slowly. And that works. I hope that was helpful.